Oh wow, Patrick! Are you really doing that thing where you start the live before you even like have your camera and everything set up? Yes, yes, I am. So today I don't even have OBS open yet. I'm pulling out. Excuse me, big yawn in the beginning. I've read Dragons. No, for some reason today. Maybe when I was on my walk. Maybe when I went to the gym. I don't remember. Um, but for some reason today, I was like, let's go to the angels. So I don't have the angel tarot. That's still in storage. And I may have the Archangel Power tarot cards. Don't have those either. Also in storage. But I do have basically Angelarium. I have Angelarium, Oracle of Emanations, Oracle of the Fallen, and the Year 2 collection. And then I also have, I'm going to use the SKT Revelations edition because that's the one I pulled out. Because the court system is in the Angels. So, and why am I doing this? I don't know. Curiosity? Sure, let's call it curiosity. So I'm going to pull one from each angelarium. Now, there are some that are present in multiple. There may even be a few that are present. There are a few that are present in all three. If the same one comes out in all three, that would be kind of wild. Let me fix this really quick. And then we're just going to see what's up. Oh, wow. You can look at this. Anyway, it's fine. Yeah, we're just going to see. Excuse me. Wait, is that what I wanted to do? Sure. Yeah, that works. Why not? We're just going to see what's up. Oh, you can see it. There we go. There's like, because of the light, it's like catching right there. You can see it clear. Wait, it's that way. Cool. Anyway, you can see the light in my glasses. This is almost what it looks like when I look into the camera. Like I'll see my glasses and then I'll see like these almost pupils. But it's a little bit more spaced. Oh, I can't see it in the camera. Anyway, it's fine. Let's go. Oh, excuse me. Is there a point? Let's ask Google to flip a coin. I don't even know if Google announces the results anymore. I just caught it. Was it here? I don't know where it is. Anyway, I don't even know if Google announces it anymore. I don't know how Google decides what it announces and when. If there's a point and purpose to this, it'll be the one that starts with T. If not, it'll be the one that starts with an H. Hey Google, flip a coin. Oh, it's the one that starts with the T. And no, apparently it doesn't announce. I don't know why. So there is a point to all this. That's interesting. Look at the coin. I don't know if that's 3 staves or what. Oh, and it went away. There was almost like a ribbon around them. It gives me a feeling of the it's like a combination between the 6 of wands and the 8 of pentacles. Excuse me, the champion and the journeyman. Um in the SKT and the 8 of pentacles, we actually saw, I was thinking about it earlier today. We saw the Journeyman recently. Muriel Angel of Cancer. I was just thinking it's almost June, almost the summer solstice in the Northern Hemisphere, almost Cancer season. Our next new moon is a new moon in Cancer because we literally just had the the new moon in Gemini. Actually, it should be what, mid June maybe? Oh, okay. June 11th, 7/11, 6/11. New moon on the 25th. And then in July, 17, 7/24. Anyway, so apparently there's a point to this, according to the coin that was flipped. Oh, yeah. It has a vibe of the Journeyman, the Eight of Wand, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Champion, the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands because that ribbon giving like a finish line, crossing the finish line, victory, recognition energy. The Journeyman because also the Dungeons and Dragons tarot is in storage. I don't remember which card that is. There are two cards that come to mind. I'm gonna see if I can find a PDF really quick. There's one in like a tavern, but there's another one with like there's another one with people on it. It's like a party. It would be so convenient. It's not in the major arcana. I know that much. Nice. They are, all the cards are here. So I can see which one they are. The Six of Wands because that was given an energy of accomplishment, achievement, success, something overcome. I feel like it's like the Ten of Pentacles, and I don't remember what the other card is. I almost wish I had the Runic Tarot. So it's in the suit of charisma. It has to be because I've scrolled through all the other ones, which is coins. It's this one. It's the charisma. It's her, right? Hold up. I didn't see this card. Maybe it is in the major arcana. And I don't think, I'm pretty sure this is the deck. It probably is the Queen of Coins. Queen of Charisma, because that's the image that's closest to what I have in mind. And the Queen of Earth again. She came out recently. She's been coming out a lot. She's the one that had the fertile ground from a previously erupted volcano. She's also the one that was our alignment to whatever when I pulled the cards the other day. The Divine Temptress. It was in that deck. I'm not seeing this card, which is interesting. Oh, it's this one. This is the one I had in mind. The Nine of maybe Wands. Yeah, 9 of strength and the queen of charisma. Who are you? The 9 of wands is an interesting energy. Cool. I'll show you why. The 8 of orbs. Okay. Nice. They have all the cards like my eyes are kind of burning. Angel of Snow and the Angel of Truth. Right? Yep. Which is interesting because there's a silence in snow. So it's interesting that the Angel of Truth sort of sits in that silent, barren, yet beautiful landscape. Cool. And yeah, so I just shuffled up all the decks. I have the books for. You know what? Let me grab the little white book. Why not? Oh, I feel like I've never used the little white book for the SKT. I mean, partially because I have the book of maps. I open it right to the Ebony of Shield, Sanctum of Treasures. The Ebony Shield is that Queen of Pentacles. Interesting. And this deck, in the Revelations edition, she's the Sanctum of Treasures. In the SKT, in the Vitruvian edition, she's my Divine Temptress. Save, invest, and be more mindful of your personal security. Fortify yourself. Ward to preserve and protect. This is the archetype of the breadwinner and the rock that anchors the family, the anchor that keeps the ship grounded. The ebony shield safeguards your wealth, luck, gains, and earthly dominion so that others cannot take what is yours. Pictured here is a warrior queen of a peoples circa 7th century. She was Al Kahina, the prophetess. The men who feared her called her a soothsayer sorceress. Here, in tribute to those people, she appears with traditional facial tattoos, magical talismans for fertility, prosperity, and power during magical rites. Her spirit guides you around the palace of opportunities. What's interesting was the prophetess. This warrior queen was a prophetess. Which is interesting because I feel like usually when we think of a priestess, we don't necessarily think of a fighter. I don't necessarily. Which one am I gonna get first? I guess I'll get this one first. Yeah. Well, I think that was enough that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna keep up the little white book for the SKT, even though that's gonna be like the tarot, which is gonna be maybe the bulk of these. So first, we're gonna pull out year 2, Cambiel, Angel of Aquarius, which is housing Pluto right now. I want a clean flip or a clean fall. You want to see? Let's see. I feel like my hands are so close. It looks so weird. Oh, the card is gonna like fall on the floor if I do that. It's fine. Angel of Sacrifices made noise, but okay. Angel of Sacrifices made noise, and then we got a clean fall. I have a few. Only one? It felt like at least 2 or 3. Okay, I'll take it. We have Samyaza, the Angel of Pride. I feel like I shouldn't be surprised. Actually, and we see Samyaza with the Mount of the Lion. We saw the Whispers of Lord Ganesha card yesterday, where he had a lion mount that was given to him by his mother. I don't remember what that card was. Am I going to look into it? Let's see. Let's do a quick Google search. Whispers of Lord Ganesha guidebook. Oh, you asking for too much. Too much from me. Let's see. The Kali Oracle. Should I click that? Can I go to different pages? Let's go to page number 45. Why not? Can I do that? Oh my gosh, there's an ad. Okay. Well, since I typed in page 45, we'll see if it'll let me see what it is. Oh crap, I'm scrolling up. It's fine. We did see the mount. Oh my gosh, my whole computer froze. I don't even know if this is recorded. Okay. Goodness, that was scary. Yeah, all right, we're back here. We're back here. Like the whole computer froze. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Let's see. It won't. Oh my god. I'm gonna try this one. Oh, it's fine. It doesn't matter. We saw the card yesterday with that, so it's interesting that Samyaza is here with the Lion Mount in the Mystical Dream Tarot. The King of Wands, like Lord of the Flames, I'm pretty sure, has Ganesh or an elephant on it, like meditating. There's the airplane, which I guess is another mount. And that was like the last booster pack was all about mounts and their riders, right? Ether Drift. Which Samyaza is this? All hail, firstborn, giver of names, father of giants, protector of the house of man, long shall be his days. What also catches my attention is this staff. The Angel of Pride is Samyaza. All right, now we'll go to the Oracle of the Fallen. I'm pretty sure this one is. There we go. Clean flipper, clean fall. I'm not surprised. Also, yeah. Okay. The staff. Oh yeah, the staff. I was gonna show you. I forgot. Which is an excellent reminder. Oh, look, bottom of the deck is the Seeker, the Outlaw, and the Journeyman. Third card from the bottom. This person is finishing their 7th task. And then, upon successful completion, they will be granted like the living staff. Right. And so when it was like the three staves with the band of like victory or completion, this narrative came up. So I'm glad I looked at that staff that Semyaza is holding. It's also interesting just the symbolism of um, what is behind. Oh, and then, yeah, the outlaws here. You don't see it in this deck, but the hanged man usually has that like thing behind their head, you know, because that's what I notice about both Semyaza and the journeyman. And then there's even like she has feathers on the headdress, but there are like these rays that are coming off. Not necessarily antenna. The seeker implies that um, it's not the seeker in the SKT. There are three fools: the initiate, the seeker, and the keeper. The keeper has completed the journey. The initiate is just beginning. The seeker is somewhere in between. Excuse me. So even with the Six of Wands, it's not like the world or whatever, right? There's a significant milestone that's been reached, but the journey, the process is not yet over. I don't think I have to show. No, it's fine. The Six of Wands is the Six of Wands. I wanted to show the wand, and this wand is different than any other. And it's also interesting that I don't know if it's necessarily interesting. Oh, let's go to the little white book. Let's see what the little white book has to say about the. I opened it to the ebony shield again. Where are the sevens? That's the majors. Heralds. Sixes. Eights. Come on, sevens. Oh my gosh. Wait, this is the eight. Just kidding. Some of these entries are a little longer than I thought they'd be. This is the spirit of apprenticeship, of perfecting one's craft, of routine work that leads to mastery. This is also the spirit of prudence. When the journeyman appears to you, you are being called to apply discipline, a strong work ethic, and perseverance to hone your skills in a particular trade. The journeyman is the grind of dedicated work, practice, and careful, methodical study of a specialized craft. Pictured here is a young shaman in training. The words that I'm gonna butcher, I'm just like skipping. I'm so sorry because I could try, but pictured here is a young shaman in training. In front of her is her teacher's staff, setting an example for her to follow as she practices casting her own orbs. The shaman in training works under the watchful tutelage of her gods. Chia, diosa de la luna, her moon goddess, and Shue, dios del sol, her sun god. The backdrop is the high plateau of the Colombian Andes, home of the Muisca, around 800 AD. Note the orb set into a master staff. This is prophetic of an adept who is currently an apprentice, but who will someday exceed the master. Whoa, cool. There was something in there. Oh, we have a shaman in training. Uh, so I guess with this, yeah, because that's what it felt like the band is. A shaman in training who has completed her training, um, which is it ties to the destroyer Ten of Swords, which was also a shaman that was going through a process. There were a certain number of initiations. The shaman that was going through the process of purging the vessel to receive a divine gift. Different card, same story. Cool. Also with Semyaza. Semyaza to me holds, I guess you could say, that Enoch, Enochian, Elijah, Bodhisattva, the person, someone who like transcended humanity while, I guess, with Enoch and Elijah while they were alive, but just like in general, someone who transcended humanity. Their humanity was invited to heaven while still alive. They didn't have to die and go through the whole like life review. It's like, there's sufficiently enough proof within the time that they had been alive that it was like, okay, girl, you're ready. Um, and it is so because of the other Samyaza. I'll just see if I can find it and read it really quick. When I was like shuffling these, doing the pre-shuffle, I saw the Gate of Sakya. I was like, oh, there it is. I was just talking about the Gate of Sakya. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Oh, the Angel of Leo. Okay. The Angel of Leo, I was like, I know that's not Semyaza, but it was like catching my attention. Oh, this is interesting. I'm going to pull all three of these. So this is the other Semyaza card, right? As the angel sang, a single speck of something passed through the light and cast a tiny shadow down on the earth. Beneath the stars, that shadow looked back at the heavens and saw himself for the first time. He gave himself his own name and turned his back on the existence he'd been granted by the universe. One by one, Semyaza called out for his brethren, and they bowed to meet him. He was the giver of names, Lord and King. There was to be none before him and none after. Like the end of that is kind of like, wait, but the first paragraph is why it's like Semyaza incarnated, was living life as the tiny shadow on earth. One day looked up to the heavens, recognized whatever, took on a new name, just like how Enoch became Metatron. Well, just like metaphorically akin to, at the very least, how after Enoch ascended, he became Metatron, right? So whatever his name was before he became Semyaza. Uh, and Semyaza is in between Remiel, Angel of Visions, and Armoros, Angel of Undoing. I also saw Armoros at the when I was shuffling too. It's interesting that Semyaza is looking at or toward the Angel of Visions with a similar phase of the moon. I'm assuming. I don't know if it's waxing or waning, but with the crescent moon, I can say that confidently. Um, Angel of Visions and visions have been so apparently like key. Like we saw 55 in the Wild Unknown archetypes, the vision. There was the new vision in the Oshos and Tarot. There's the Vision Quest in the Mystical Shaman Oracle cards. And it's all about how we interpret the vision. So in the little white book, it mentioned that the staff itself is not only a promise that the journeyman will one day become adept, but will also exceed the master. And it's almost like sometimes we may get the vision of like becoming the adept or get the vision of exceeding the master. And we almost, I guess you could say, like jump the gun. Or we find so much consolation in the vision that we may never actually do the work to make it come to be. Right. To make it come to pass. Samyaza is interesting, cool. But again, with the stabs and the with that Eight of Pentacles, with the Journeyman and the Six of Wands energy, not surprised. What else would I not be surprised to see? I don't know. Am I? I mean, not surprised in the way of like how everything's been reading lately. Still like, wait, right? All right, let's get another one. Ooh, that was a clean flip of Apollyon, Angel of the Void. Should I have read Remiel, Angel of Visions? Apollyon, Angel of the Void. Who's at the bottom? The Ascendant, Sariel. Maybe it's just like a. I feel like there are ties and connections in here that I'm going to try to make. We saw Cambiel, Angel of Aquarius. Pluto, or Aquarius is housing Pluto right now. We have the Angel of the Void here. And the Full Moon Scorpio video, we talked about the Abyss or the Void, or I guess like the proximity between the Void and the Abyss, and the interface at the Abyss between the self and the all, that once crossed would probably give something like um whatever this, I don't even know a word for it, whatever that Enochian energy is. I'll just call it Enochian energy. The semyazification. So to see the Angel of the Void, I'm like, okay. Also, we have the Ascendant in Sariel here. Not necessarily speaking to Ascension, but bottom of the other one is Rimph, Angel of Time. The flame that cracks its skin is the same as the fire from within, an alabaster form, folded like the steel of a sword, always pressing onward, the sharp beat of its heels, grinding the past into dust. Oh my gosh. Rimph, Angel of Time is next to Rimph, Angel of Time. And then there again is Azazel, Angel of Sacrifices. The other rim, Angel of Time, the ocean pulsed, pushed onward, beat by beat, marching forward, they die upon the beach, and with each stroke the sand pulls upon the stones, polishing faces smooth. But it's this active brim that's at the bottom rather than the reclined one. Something about this, it's almost broken in the active one, or we get a different vantage point. But no, that's something else. That's something else. That's part of Rem's clothing. Um, but this like crescent moon shape in the reclining one is interesting because again, the crescent moons in Remiel, Angel of Visions, and the other Samyaza. Marking it as a matter of time, which maybe instead of it being a matter of time, as in it's bound to happen eventually, it's inevitable. Maybe it's more so like it's a matter of the times. Like because the times are what the times are. Something. This speaks to the belonging also. The flame that cracks its skin is the same as the fire from within. There's that element of fire again that has been so like prominent lately with the dragons. Excuse me. Um, But that's like, is that belonging? Yeah. Cause and when belonging came out, it was like there's something within the self that is shown that some aspect of the divine recognizes as kin. The fire that cracks its skin is the same as the flame from within. The flame from within being like the soul or the spark of the divine that we carry with us. And then, like, if you can see it on its, oh, there they are. If you can see it on its skin, then that's like that alignment between what is most deeply internal and what is external. Am I? Yeah, I'll read it. I was gonna be like, am I reading yet? I've already delved into the books. Angel of the Void, Apollyon. It's on page 65, which is an 11. The shifting form of Apollyon was unfathomably rare to encounter. Though his name was observed in the Valley of Idols, there was little evidence of his physical presence. Perhaps, some thought, he had forsaken his brothers to wander out into the uncharted lands. But no, Apollyon was with them always. He stood tall against the night sky, looking down on the land with loving radiance. His translucent robes flowed silently between the stars, passing the light down to the earth without a trace of interference. Without a trace of interference is wild because of the divine non-interference of what, yesterday. Although no one witnessed the blessings that Apollyon gifted them, they were blessed all the same. In every moment of silence, in every absence of light, the angel of the void witnessed their virtue and honored their solidarity. When a catastrophe came and many died, Apollyon smiled at their passing into darkness. The dead were his kin as fully as the living. Domains are invisibility, meditation, and quiet. The quiet is interesting because of the silence of the snow with the angel of the snow and the angel of truth. This card suggests that an unseen force in your life is exerting its will on you. While it may not be possible to see the thing itself, you can sometimes see the shadow it casts between moments. There is insight into the ways in which silent things speak. Trust your intuition to gain access to information that your conscious mind cannot access on its own. That piggybacking off of Apocalypse, which was divine revelation. And it's something that's not seen. I feel like that almost has a tie to something, but it is escaping me. So finally, we have the Angelarium Oracle of Emanations. Let's see what angel is here. Also, this is given like silent benefactor. Benefactor. That's the other word. Patron or benefactor. It's giving like silent benefactor type energy. Right. Gavora, left hand judgment. Judgment is crazy, as I was just talking about Apocalypse, which was judgment. Divine revelation. Bottom of the deck over here is left eye knowledge. So we have the left hand and the left eye, which are the upper two Sephira on the left side. And now let's grab this book. Oh, yeah. Okay. Tiferet Gevura, left hand judgment, the fifth emanation, the hand that separates, the rule of law that brings order to the world. Gevura assesses what is just, helping us overcome our adversaries both without and within. Hers is the power to cleave apart a unified whole and leave its component pieces. It is a trait that commands as much fear as respect because with it comes an inherent violence. She does this without enmity. It is an act that must be committed to create balance. The red orb exists as a boundary, closed to the unworthy. Gavura's position at the center of its pillar defines that pillar's trait of severity. Her push against Chesed and on the opposite side of the tree is met with equal and opposite resistance. Without both of them in equal measure, we have no means of maintaining healthy relationships. We must have judgment to discern what is healthy for us so that we can bring it into our lives and embrace it. Found in law, bravery, and punishment. Love the bravery because she's giving, I guess, strength, which is the lion and the person. Depending on the deck, we see that relationship depicted differently. Sometimes the lion and the lady are at peace. Sometimes the lady is wrestling the lion. We could look to see what it is in this deck. I know in the Vitruvian edition, I'm pretty sure it's one that is more of force. It's interesting that, yeah, it is here too. Oh, it's next to the tower. Between the tower and the wish granted. This is 789. 16, 7 with the tower, 8, and then the 9 of cups. There we see in the tower the axe of Shiva that removes corruption. Also lightning, which was paired with, I'll put it on the table, why not? Which was paired with the element of fire. Lightning in the fire, Knight of Wands. Also in the lightning, proving it was in the fire element. Gavora's looking pretty fiery herself. This also makes me think of, it was like the tower and the 3 of Cups or something like that. Yeah. I almost want, yeah, that it was that tower and 3 of Cups energy with the potential for like some kind of envy or whatever. What am I looking for? What am I think I was gonna flip a coin. I guess I don't really need to. I should like get a window capture. It's fine. I don't have to do it right now. I'm not even flipping a coin. I was like, I should get like a window capture or like just code it in the program to like flip a coin, so you can see the coin flip on the screen, right? That'd be cute, right? I need like widgets, but I feel like I would have such weird ones. You know what I mean? Let's put like a suite of dice and a coin flip, maybe in like a probability widget. I think all of that can fit within the category of probability. Like a flip of a coin, the roll of a die, and then if I could just like overlay it, maybe I'll look into that. Maybe I might. I guess the question is, How noticeable or observable would this be? And I don't, it's because of this cleaving hand. Because of the cleaving hand that separates the worthy from the unworthy when it comes to navigating the void and what we overcome within ourselves, the resonance of the spark. I mean, I guess it's already been floating, right? It's not like I haven't made mention of it. The angel of judgment, the angel of the void, and the angel of pride are the three angels that came out. I guess that's the reverse order. It was pride, the void, and then judgment. Also, yesterday, there was the energy of recognition, the belonging. Excuse me, the belonging that was Remph, the angel of time. The flame that cracks its skin is the same as the fire from within. Maybe because we have Semyaza here. So there is the factor of recognition or realization. I guess realization and recognition. Realization within the self, recognition externally, or from an external source. Is that? Take it as it resonates. If it resonates when it resonates, and if it doesn't, then don't. Right? I almost want to shuffle this and pull before and after the seeker and the keeper. The vibe is there are some who are like, and I don't know if it's the whole initiate, adept, master thing, right? The staff, the orb and the staff is the promise of the adeptness of the apprentice and the promise that they will someday exceed the master, surpass the master. But there's almost this energy of I don't know anything. You know what I mean? What am I even like doing? I guess there's this a vibe of there is the co-signing and the bestowal of a gift, the blessings, like those from the angel of the void. But it feels like there's also like a Remph. The fire that cracks its skin is the same as the flame from within. Ultimately, I don't know if it matters the difference between what is an expression of one's own divinity and what is an expression of divine favor. The keeper will be divine favor. The backwards. The seeker will be divine favor. The keeper will be a manifestation of one's own divinity. Ooh, ooh. That car almost bent. How interesting. We got the Three of Pentacles. Bottom of the deck is the Necromancer. which is the moon, and we see three crescent moons. You could say that the three crescent moons are Remiel, angel of vision, Semyaza, angel of pride, and um, Remph, angel of time. The three crescent moons we've seen so far. We have two jackals. We have Anubis holding the scales of Anubis. And this Anubis holding the scales of Anubis, for me, is almost always an energy that is like Anubis himself is presiding over this. This isn't Ma'at or anyone else holding the scales of Anubis. This is like attracted a lot of attention. I almost forgot the part of the narrative, I feel like a few years ago, maybe 2023, early 23, maybe, where it was the chapter of having gained the attention of someone important and someone coming themselves to see, to meet whoever. So it was like, if you're in an interview and the first interview goes well, you go into the second one, and then like the CEO shows up, and you're like, oh my gosh, like you're here. And they're like, yeah, like I heard good things I wanted to see for myself. Right. And it's to be confident. That's why Samyaza, the angel of pride, is here. That's why ego, and like a healthy ego, and like the King of Wands has been coming out, because it's not to question or doubt oneself. It's not to buckle under the pressure of the gaze of the important one. It's to still perform and to show, to like make a good showing. And making a good showing isn't, it's more of a display than a performance. I think that's how I want to word that. It's more of a display than a performance. And it's not to be, again, it's not to buckle under the pressure or the weight. I mean, some nerve is obviously um, excusable and probably to be expected, but it's still putting on a good showing. The first two cards that flipped over were the Mason and the Politic. Mars and Capricorn squaring the Sun in Aries. The Three of Pentacles and the Three of Wands. Ex nihilo, nihil eight or feet. From nothing, nothing, or something like that. Like you can't get anything. If you don't have anything, you can't get anything from nothing. This deck in particular, the threes are hold the element of prophecy associated with each element. So fire is pyromancy, earth is geomancy. I feel like something talked about prophecy, right? I read something in a book about prophecy. Maybe I'm thinking of the seer. That is that Queen of Wands. Maybe that's what I'm thinking about. The third card that flipped over is the Hierophant, but it's the Revelations Hierophant, not the Vitruvian Hierophant. The good, quote unquote, Hierophant. The proper Hierophant, you could say. Not the Hierophant that seeks to be looked at as divine in the eyes of man or in the eyes of those that they lead, but the Hierophant that understands and honors their role as the liaison, as the bridge, as the relationship initiator, facilitator, and builder, mentor to the divine, master of the arcanes. Oh, look. Yeah, the elephants. Where do I put these? I'll put these here, I guess. Asmodel, Angel of Taurus, is at the top of the deck. I kept looking at him because first I had it like face up or face whatever. I had him illustration facing rather than text explanation facing. And I kept looking down at the Angel of Taurus, and so the Hierophant is here now, which corresponds to Taurus. Right. Uranus is going to be leaving Taurus at some point. Venus will be entering Taurus at some point. Neptune in years will be entering Taurus. Saturn eventually. Oh, let's see. Let me read the Hierophant, the Holy See. No, it's actually the Hierophant in this deck. In the Vitruvian edition, it's the Holy See. Here, it's the Hierophant. The Hierophant is about confronting what you have inherited and evaluating that inheritance with individual responsibility. This is the spirit of sovereignty over your sole purpose. Divinity speaks directly to you and works through you, through the truth, though the truth may be difficult to hear. The Hierophant is embodied by Maitreya, the Bodhisattva and prophesied future Buddha of loving kindness and light. Oh, I was like, why was I thinking about prophecy? That is so interesting because, again, we have two cards of prophecy: prophecy on earth and prophecy of the soul or in spirit. And then we have the prophesied bodhisattva appearing immediately after. Okay. I was like, I feel like I read something about prophecy. Little did I know that in a few minutes I would be reading this book and the word prophesied would come out of my mouth. Maybe that's the point. I didn't know. It's fine. Also, of course, we had the Bodhisattva, which was that Enochian Bodhisattva Elijah energy. Nice to see. Um, oh, that's okay. Yeah, nice to see that confirmation, I guess. The Hierophant is embodied by Maitreya, the Bodhisattva and prophesied future Buddha of loving kindness and light, greeting you at the gates of Tushta. I'm going to butcher these. A celestial paradise. Greeting you at the gates of a celestial paradise. Alongside Maitreya, when the Hierophant appears, Ganesha's blessings are coming your way. Ganesha is the remover of obstacles, a deva of intellectualism, the arts, and science. Does this answer my question? Or does it signify it? When the Hierophant appears, Ganesha's blessings are coming your way. Because the question is, not is there a difference or what is the nature? I don't know. For some, I have a question about the divine expression versus divine favor, right? Divine favor would be like with the sense of belonging. There's some aspect of the divine that recognizes something within someone and blesses them, gives them something that is the thing that is the manifestation of that connection. There's a connection to some aspect of the divine, and there's something that manifests because of it, right? That one as favored by whatever, which is different than an aspect of the divine that we hold within our soul makeup that is honed to the point of like shining through. And so, although it can be like respected, not it can be. This could be like, is this the favor of Ganesha that the Hierophant has, or is it the recognition of Ganesha that the Hierophant has? The recognition would be this is an aspect, something that was within the Hierophant at their creation, that the flame that cracks its skin is the same as the fire from within. Is that the favor being someone that was bestowed something by Ganesha, and this what we see is like the that sort of shown again. It's basically semantics, and probably there is no difference. But I'm just curious. And it's been prophesied. What? And then again with like Anubis himself showing up, and then to see Ganesha with the Hierophant. I don't know what any of this means, but I'm reading it. Oh, look what's under the Necromancer. It's the champion, the Six of Wands. Successfully passed that judgment, successfully accomplished whatever was for them to accomplish. That's why the staff had the, um, I guess it would be like the world card. Well, that would be the major arcana equivalent, right? Because I said the Eight of Pentacles and the Six of Wands, which is in the minors. It's interesting that there we have the champion. Oh, ooh, hold up. Okay. I don't think I spoke on this. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. This is the gateway of resurrection, right? We have the master of the arcanes, the prophesied master of the arcanes. There is something within the soul that is unlocked that maybe allows for the display or the expression of one's internal divinity. And it's in the passing of this test. Also, there is the 10th orb. That's the fruit of the tree of knowledge. Ganesha is associated with intellectualism or something like that. And one of these was associated with knowledge. Was it Apollyon? Invisibility, meditation, and quiet. No, I don't think it was Gabura. Oop. I feel like bottom of the deck. Left eye knowledge was at the bottom. I was like, I feel like we've seen knowledge somewhere, which is also interesting because knowledge was the path of water yesterday. The Thunderhead Gunner recognized the the intellect of the engineer that crafted her own flying mount. I'm gonna read this entry and see if it mentions it. It may, it may not. This fruit is the prize. And it's interesting that it's come Armoros. That's who it is. Okay. Armoros is here, the angel of undoing. That's where I saw it. Within the real Karukian mythology, question mark, the real Karukian mythos associated with the angel of time, some stuff was going down back when the angels weren't so distant. And people were being people, jealous, envious, doing outlandish things. And then Armoros, the angel of undoing, basically brought down the veil to create distance because people are people. But in doing that, it's almost like the veil that was between man and the angels. It's almost like in order to establish it or enforce it or preserve its integrity, that line was drawn even internally. So, what was divine within man, and I guess this is an addendum to the real Kurokian mythos of Armoros, the angel of undoing. That line was drawn even internally. So, the divinity within man and its human nature, it was like polarized, right? And again, it was like to enforce or preserve the integrity of the veil, because if man could tap into its own divinity, then it would just like cross right through or see right through, or that distance would be whatever. The angel of undoing coming out with Samyaza and the angel of visions, it was like the veil was being undone. That separation was being undone. Also, Govura is the left arm of separation, but it divides the worthy from the unworthy. Something about Samyaza proves itself as worthy. The veil is dissolved, and that's this. Like, that's what's being resurrected within the person. And it's the heart that is weighed. And you could say the mind. Sure, the feather represents intellect today. Why not? But again, with the champion here, Six of Wands, it's not the end, it's not the world, but it's like a new initiation, or it's that welcoming into the adepthood. It's still being refined, basically. There's still more to learn. Oh, wait. Positive omen success comes, but at the cost of a personal sacrifice. We saw the angel of sacrifice. The champion is the spirit of victory. The imagery of the spirit here conveys the core of the message. To be the champion, one must be oblivious to pain. For there to be victory, there must be self sacrifice. A Norse Jael queen, is that how you say that? Gael? Queen adorned and crowned with amber sits upon her throne, which features Odin's wolves, Gary and Freaky, cast in bronze. The background features the letters of the god's name, Tyr, the Norse god of war, which is like Tyr was from a pantheon before. I guess you could kind of say from a pantheon before the Norse pantheon, right? Before Odin came onto the scene and his brothers did whatever to whoever. It's almost like Tyr was already like established. This, like the personal sacrifice, feels like it speaks to the personal sacrifice and the obliviousness to pain. Feels like it speaks to that internal sort of integrity and stability that stands strong regardless of the circumstances in life. And then we have the sharpshooter, Eight of Wands. Wands. What was the other card? I could have used this card because this is almost like, I don't know if that's a blessing of Athena. It's like you see both. Like that power was granted to them by this. The giver and the healer. Gifts of the spirit. The giver and gifts of the spirit. Like literally spirit giving a gift and the sharpshooter receiving that gift from spirit. The giver, Six of Orbs, was also the card that came out with lightning. We're looking before the keeper and the seeker. The seeker is in between the corruptor and the golden shield. The keeper is in between the discerning one and the ebony shield. LOL, the ebony shield. Like literally what I kept opening the book to. Yeah, she's here now. We already read her. There was something that was in there though that I guess I will. Oh, I didn't open to it that time. That time I opened to the journeyman. The journeyman, Eight of Orbs. There she is, the ebony shield. Cool. Just opened it a little bit more. Sanctum of Treasures. Oh yeah, she's the seer. The what is soothsayer sorceress. The prophetess that was the warrior queen. The warrior queen prophetess. Usually front lines. I feel like this isn't as simple as there was I keep forgetting there was recognition and favor. I'm trying to linguistically separate them, but it's so whatever that I guess both have favor. Both have favor. Both are blessed. One also exerts its own divinity, and that's the keeper. Because there's an energy here of what is of the self, and that's the capital S self, and what is of the divine. What is of the self? What is of the benefactor? Right? Because with our warrior queen prophetess, there's almost an energy of like either the prophetess or the warrior is the self, and then the other is of the benefactor. I'm like, what did I literally just say? One is of the self, one is of the benefactor. In the discerning one, we see these rods, this double vajra, like crossed. So, like at the intersection of the self and the intersection of the benefactor, it's almost like this new thing is birthed. And you can actually see both. You see the dragon behind the warrior in the back. Oh, yeah. And even in the keeper, we have this single Merkaba in the middle. It's like this is the one that is the combination of both. When they cross and meet, this new one like emerges. It's a convergence of essences. But then you see like there's the Merkaba circle over here. Like this could be the one of the self, and this could be the one of the benefactor. You see like the components off to the side. Also, like the two different hands with the two different ravens. You get both of the ravens, the white raven and the black raven. Also, notice how similar that is to the journeyman. I already saw the journeyman when I was looking. So let's see, where's the journeyman? I'm pretty sure I saw the journeyman. Maybe I didn't. Is it still on the table? I'm like, how did I put these cards back? Yeah, there's the journeyman. The journeyman is in between the burden one and the outlaw, which is the Ten of Wands and the Hangman. Sure, I'll just pull it. The similarities between the two people in the back on the journeyman and those two things on the side and the keeper. This is when the apprentice becomes the adept. This is when the adept surpasses the master. Surpassing the master, meaning something akin to making that gift one's own. Also, in the purification of the shaman, that was the shaman in training. And the destroyer, there are also the two drums, the drum of golden shamanism and black shamanism. And who emerges is the shaman with three pairs of arms: the arms of the self, the arms of golden shamanism, and the arms of black shamanism. See the two drums? Also, a similar circle. Also, that thing behind the head. This one of the shaman looking a lot closer to the one behind Samyaza. The shaman in training was like reflective of it in some way, but after the training is complete, it's like a lot closer. Oh, and it was next to the hangman. Haha, still cool. The destroyer is in between the reaper and the herald of the earth. Herald of the earth is, oh my gosh, dedication of the adept. You see that? And this is the when the adept becomes the master. So we saw before the adept at the journeyman, sort of like nearing the end at the keeper. Maybe the seeker is the adept. But this is passage to initiation, the reaper. which is Scorpio, and we just had that Scorpio full moon. There's Taurus on the table and Scorpio. This is Sun in Gemini, where the Sun is now. Jupiter in Sagittarius is the burden one. Jupiter is currently in Gemini, which is interesting. Is Jupiter in Gemini like the Ten of Wands in reverse? Because the opposite of Sag is Gemini? That gives leads to an interesting question, right? Jupiter and Gemini, or Jupiter and Sag reversed, is Jupiter and Gemini, which is the Ten of Wands reversed. The Ten of Wands is the burden one, which means that the burden is in reverse. Feels like the relationship of the burden is switched. So rather than the self being burdened by the world, the environment, the universe at large, the world becomes burdened by the self. There's this weird thought of almost like a pressure that's put on the world. And maybe that's why, like, Enoch and Elijah got ejected. It's a thought. I'm a thinker and a ponderer, a wanderer. It's almost like there's a is it because of the veil? It's almost like there's a limit to how much divinity can like manifest on earth or for how long, because it feels like there's like a stress. Maybe it's a stress that's put on the integrity of the machination, right? Like laws of physics. There are these precious, precarious, if precarious is the word that I want, I think it is. There's this like sensitive ish balance. Usually, there's not, it feels like the ponderance is usually there's not enough pressure to reveal how sensitive the mechanism is, right? If something breaks with a little bit of pressure from like an adult, there is very, 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 very little an ant would ever be able to do to reveal that fragility. But to the adult, it would be very fragile. So it's almost like, and like it's almost like that's reality. Hey, how you doing? I'm doing all right. I am interested, intrigued, confused. Not necessarily confused. Again, it feels like there's so much clarity or consistency in it that it's not confusing because of what it is. It's confusing because of what it is. It's like, what is this? I don't know if I've ever, yeah. But anyway, it's almost like, I don't know if it's the framework, if it's natural laws. In the presence of divinity, it's almost like you can see how fragile and how precious that balance really is. And so it's almost like, I don't know if it's because the veil being drawn that it's so like almost flimsy. And maybe that's why. Well, when would the veil have been drawn though? I got, who knows, girl. Anyway, um, not according to this and how it's reading, not globally. for a select few individuals, for those who have proven themselves worthy. I mean, literally, Gavura, the left hand of judgment, separates the worthy from the unworthy. So the angel, the emanation. Oh, and it's an emanation of the Kabbalah tree of life, not necessarily an angel. Is there a difference between the emanations and the angels? Because now it's almost like the emanations are more so personifications of like the natural order, or personifications of the things that anchor physical reality as like physical reality, and not necessarily things themselves. But the left hand of severity separates the worthy from the unworthy. So how did I even get? Oh, because of the Ten of Wands in reverse. I'm like, how did I even get here? So it's like with the Ten of Wands upright, the burden is on an individual from the universe and the world at large. And we learn the tricks of the trade, the laws and the rules of manifestation or whatever else to thrive within that limitation. But once someone transcends it and enters into, at the very least, the adept level, let alone master level, when someone comes more and more and more into their own divinity, or as they curry the favor of the divine, however that happens, it's like the burden begins to shift. Then they become a burden on reality. Until I guess the veil is dropped, like overall. I almost wonder if it is some aspect of like the veil. But I guess again that makes sense because it's almost like if that hard limit or if that soft cap, that soft limit, that veil wasn't there, there wouldn't be anything to do whatever. Interesting. Take it as it resonates. If it resonates when it resonates, that's my. I feel like at this point I say it as much for anybody else as I do for me. To me, it gives me permission to just like keep going and not have to try to ground it in some way for somebody. Try to like there are some things that I don't mind. There are other things that aren't necessarily for me to try to make sense of. And we have been in that territory of things for me to not necessarily try to make sense of. But back to Enoch and Elijah in the Bible, it's almost like as they crossed that threshold, as they came to be like too divine within their incarnation, it's almost like they got rejected. And so they transcended physical reality because it's almost like it would have shattered that balance in some way, activity of the balance in some way. I think the implications of this are like wild. Not necessarily, but I do. Because it's almost like potentially what we view of as transcendence or aspects of transcendence or displays of divinity or whatever. It's like it's well within the limitations of reality because the burden is still pressed upon us. Anyway, whoa, sorry. That's weird. It's like as I was just like kind of looking at the space between the cards, there's almost like this shimmer that I started to see. Anyway, how interesting. Okay. Oh, she was our warrior prophetess. Yes. Warrior queen and prophetess extraordinaire. This discerning one is Mars and Aries. We saw the sun in Aries? Question mark. Sun in Aries is the politic three of wands. The sanctum of treasures with the healer gifts of the spirit and the giver receiving those gifts of the spirit. Interesting. So this is the one who receives a gift of the from the divine and exudes their own divinity. Right. I'll hold the cards up. You can take it how you do or will. I'm like, there we go. And maybe that's why the discerning one is here too. Because of the discernment, because of the discretion to be used. You too. Because of this, the discernment and discretion to be used when operating here, which is another reason probably why one has to be able to exist beyond their circumstance and beyond the goings on in the world. We've seen the acts of Shiva once the tower, with the tower, the force, and the wish granted, which is the tower, strength, and the nine of cups. We see the acts of Shiva again in the seven of chalices. The acts of Shiva that removes corruption on the card of the corrupter. Each animal represents one of the seven deadly sins. In the SKT, especially Vitruvian edition, none of the options presented in the Seven of Cups are necessarily good options. Which it makes me think. I talked about in the audiobook that I'm listening to, the field exam, and how they were supposed to know when something was beyond their capabilities because their judgment was also being tested. And something came out recently. I couldn't remember it, but I could remember the metaphor. But then I remembered the thing. But as I continued to explain the metaphor, I forgot the thing. Oh, it was the integration. It was the challenge of the Eight of Cups that came. To embrace our divinity, we'd have to leave our humanity behind. And the challenge, the deck dungeon challenge clarifier of that is we at some point realize that there are different paths available to different people, everybody. There will be some who that could resonate for, who would make the choice to fully embrace their divinity and to fully let their humanity go, whatever that looks like, girl, because I don't know. But for some, it was to realize that there could be a point of integration and that that's a choice that they don't have to make. Now, what stalled it was postponement. And there's a difference between not making a choice because you realize that you have more options than what are presented and not making a choice because of indecision or anything else. Rather than, because the first one is like, it is a choice. Well, that's what I said, right? There's a difference between choosing an option that isn't necessarily presented or doesn't look like it's presented and not choosing anything. One of those is a choice, one of those isn't. This acts of Shiva removes the corruption in the seeker. Also, that choice may reflect on this. Again, this being where the self meets the benefactor. Someone choosing to integrate the two rather than to abandon one for the other, right? It's almost like you could say on one hand you have like a Enoch to Metatron transcended humanity and left versus like a Disney's Hercules that rejected his divinity and became fully human so that he could live with Meg. On the other side is the golden shield, sanctum of splendor. What's the difference between the sanctum of splendor and the sanctum of treasures? Who knows? I don't know. Also, there's an eclipse back there. Maybe that eclipse symbolizing one thing eclipsing the other rather than both things existing in the sky. This is the seeker. Oh gosh, why is this so hard? There we go. More or less. To the human mind, I want to say to the human mind. Of course, I have this question, and then it's like, well, does it even matter? Like, is there a difference between one or the other? Then it's like, does it matter? I feel like not really. Because again, like the metaphor from yesterday, um, when it comes to like a hierarchy that doesn't necessarily actually exist between, like, you know, if there are spirits of water and then you have like a spirit of puddles and ponds versus a spirit of like oceans and seas and storms, to human understanding, it can be easy to put those on a hierarchy where oceans and seas and storms are above puddles and ponds. But it's like in reality, it's like all exist. And if you only need a puddle or a pond of water, throwing an entire ocean at something is going to do much more damage than doing nothing, probably. It's like there's a job for everybody. And as long as we don't put worth or value on one job versus another, because it takes all kinds of jobs to make society function, there's no necessary hierarchy. There are jobs for the seeker and jobs for the keeper, right? And it's almost like for those who would like completely embrace their divinity and transcend earth, whatever that looks like, it's almost like the other side of the veil would be all the better for having someone so fresh from the experience of what it's like to live in these times. And for those that would choose to integrate and somehow stay, the world would be better for having them in it. And it takes both. Both are beneficial. One isn't necessarily better than the other, which was the point. But I was just curious, you know? Cool. What are these angels? There's a class of. There are like 6 new angels. Oh, maybe not. One, two, three, four, five. They're like 5 angels here that aren't in any of the other decks that I have. And I was just like, why? Angel of the Eclipse. I was like, oh, look, it's another crescent moon. That's not a crescent moon. That's an eclipse. This, like, what is that? The Ring of Fire on the eclipse looked like a crescent moon to me. I wonder if I've mistaken another one. I wonder if in that instant, because in a total solar eclipse, in that path of totality, it gets visibly darker. It's not necessarily like midnight. It's not necessarily like pitch black, but it gets dark. And I wonder if in that instant where it is like ending, if you were to look up and see a celestial crescent, if it could possibly be confused for a crescent moon when it's actually an eclipse. Comments? Oh, look at this. You see it? Oh, you see this card? Oh, I pushed it in. It was the Holy Grail. Ace of Chalices, the Purifying. The Quester. Flip it over. Quester is the 6 of Swords. Thoughts on that eclipse? Crescent moon? It flipped right back over. The Holy Grail. The lotuses in the Holy Grail. Can you see it? You can kind of see it. The Bodhisattva Maitreya is sitting on a lotus. And then there are like 2 lotuses in the water in the Holy Grail. I'm not going to force the camera to focus today. Also, I didn't even realize this when I said it literally on top. You see these like 3 goddesses also sitting on a lotus in the Wish Granted. See, there's the lotus, and there they sit. That lotus is a little bit more obstructed. No mud, no lotus. Well, I guess you could say that the lotus rises up out of the mud, potentially being the element of transcendence. What was the question? Why did I pull this? Because the eclipse and the crescent moon. Interesting. It's already almost been 2 hours. It's fine. I don't mind making these longer. There is a messenger of earth. Herald of the earth on the other side of this passage to initiation. Oh. The Herald of the Earth has some similarities to the Keeper. I mean, they both have a. Yeah. The Herald of the Earth has similarities to the Keeper. The Keeper is the one that integrates. Hey, there it is. I just have to walk it back. Cool. feel like there's a question I am meant to be asking, but this feels complete to me. I'm gonna flip a coin. Let's flip another coin. The H one, if I'm supposed to keep probing. The T one, if I can get final cards. Hey Google, flip a coin. Tails again. Oh, it won't flip me like the. Oh, now it's upside down. Like the three staffs with the cross the finish line victory on it. It was the H one. The T one was for final cards. Okay. There is. I'm just gonna say it. It feels like there's something like tricky here. Almost like something not into, and it was like with that last question that I asked after I asked it. Oh yeah, with the whole in that instant moment, in that instantaneous moment. And as scientists are finding out, according to the little news things that pop up on my phone, we've made a lot of inferences and assumptions and declarations about the configuration and the composition of distant planets based on the moment or the brief window that we were able to gather data and observe. Now, of course, if that's all of the data that we have, that's all we have to make inferences on. But come when we don't consider the limited, the limitations, I guess. Danger comes when we don't consider limitations. Now it's like scientists are revisiting, or it's like drawing different conclusions with the same data like decades later. Or it's like, oh, now this is happening on that planet or whatever. And it's like, we got a snapshot during a season and we made assumptions. We did the best that we could do with what we had, but then we treated it as truth, right? And it's something about like in the right conditions, instantaneously, if there was no buildup outside of that moment, an eclipse could look like a crescent moon, but it's not. And it feels like that's like this little tricky, almost whatever that's kind of here. And ultimately, this is also, it's like a test of wisdom and discernment, judgment, and all kinds of other stuff. Right. So we're supposed to make inferences or whatever. Am I gonna put these away first? I'll put these away last. But I will. Well, first I'm going to shuffle these one more time. And then, oh wow, those did not want to shuffle. Then I'm going to mix it up. What does any of this mean? I don't know. 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 What does any of this mean? That thing about the integrity of physical reality, though, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever thought of that before. I guess I would have never had reason to. That's another reason why I kind of like doing these because again, I'm naturally a ponderer and a wanderer. I have a curious mind when it can be bothered to think. I have a curious mind, but I don't need to know everything. Right. There are certain things that don't really pique my interest, and so I don't necessarily give them too much thought. But when stuff like this come up and come out, it gets me like wondering and questioning and thinking. It engages a different part of me that I'm like, ooh. The Vagabond, Five of Orbs, Mercury and Taurus just came out. Mercury may still be in Taurus. I don't know where Mercury is. Mercury at any time is a sign before or a sign after the sun. Because of Mercury's proximity to the sun and both of their distance from Earth in the sky, from our vantage point, it doesn't get too far. And so someone's not necessarily going to have like Sun in Aries, Mercury in Scorpio. Unless they're on maybe Venus. They're from Venus. I don't know if Venus is close enough where Mercury can get a lot farther out. But again, if we're talking about perspective and limitations because of perspective and windows of observation, maybe that's something to consider. I guess if you look at a heliocentric point of view, you would eliminate a lot of that. Mercury is already in Gemini. Mercury is about to go Kazemi. Whoa. That means the Mercury retrograde will be coming up at some point. When Mercury gets too far from the sun, it retrogrades back. Cool. The Convalescent, Four of Swords, is at the bottom of the deck. That's an interesting combination. I'm going to get two final cards because I feel like it. I'll get a final card for thee and a final card for me. Because why not? For thee, thy final card is. Oh, wow. Oh, gosh. Maybe this is why I'll get one for thee and I'll get one for me. Bottom of the deck is the Lovers, Mystery of the Covenant. What an interesting card to come out. An interesting tagline, Mystery of the Covenant. Especially on the back of sometimes our limited perspective or the limitations of an observation window can have us making inferences, creating truths that may be more seasonal than universal. The two cards that came out. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Gorgeous. Love it. The first card that came out is Saturn in Libra. And I was like, oof. The bereaved Three of Swords. But it also came out with the Archangel of Healing. Healing hearts. Look at that. Love it. Angel who salves and purifies. We have Isis here, a representation of Isis. Because of the mystery in the mystery of the covenant, there's a little bit of does it matter? Maybe it doesn't matter. It's a little bit of an energy of like a heart that is being healed, but not necessarily knowing what was broken or why. If it's healed, does it matter? The only way I would see that necessarily mattering is if something is healed. We think that something is broken for one reason, or we think that one thing is the problem. When something is healed, we avoid what we thought caused the damage in the first place. But if we misattribute the source of the fracture, we could eliminate one thing thinking that we're doing whatever, but in reality, we could still be engaging with the thing that actually hurt us in the first place, which would lead to like a lot of confusion, I feel like, and probably frustration and irritation. Maybe that's why learning helps us, right? All right, final card for me. Oh, I didn't even catch that. We had the Three of Pentacles being Geomancy and the Three of Wands being Pyromancy. Here, the Three of Swords is Aeromancy. The reason why I say that is because the final card for me is the Politic. Sun and Aries. What was Aries season? April was Aries season. Early April was Aries season. What happened early April? I feel like Aries season held the beginnings of the revelations that really took root in Taurus season. Bottom of the deck is the Contender, though. So Saturn and Leo trine the Sun in Aries. The Five of Wands, the Contender. Under the Contender is the Mason. Three of Pentacles. Geomancy. Oh, look, we got these two cards again. Geomancy, Pyromancy, and the Five of Wands between them. What's interesting about this Five of Wands, rather than the one in the Vitruvian edition, is we see one of the contenders disengaged and disinterested from whatever competition is happening in the foreground, and then the person holding the evil eye to like protect their back or whatever. Disinterested, disengaged. Am I gonna do that for all of these? Sure, why not? Maybe not. Nah. Excuse me. Let's do this one. The Oracle of Emanations. He was making a tarot deck. I think the price paused. I'll have to look into it and see. All right, final word from the Angelarium Oracle of Emanations for all of us. 2 angels. Leliel, Angel of Night, and Zachriel, Angel of Memory. Oh, look, we have another crescent moon. Now, this one looks craterous, so it's probably less of an eclipse, right? The Angels of the Night and Memory. Bottom of the deck is Hasmed, Angel of Annihilation. I'll read them from the book. Nope, too far. Walking the Path. There's a header at the top on the left side. We have Zachriel, Angel of Memory, and the Angel of Night. Lilium. Hasmed is the Unmaker. A terrible sight to behold, the void eating itself and making itself anew. That which should no longer exist is unmade by Hasmed's hands. There is something that needs to be removed. Look upon that which should not be and loose it from existence. Oh my gosh, the signs. The signs of this angel at the bottom of the deck. Where did the deck go? The signs of the angel at the bottom of the deck. Hasmed, Angel of Annihilation. Are you ready for this? First, the sign is a hood. The second sign, an eclipse. And the third sign, an empty field. A hood, an eclipse, and an empty field. The hood was the thing that connected the keeper to the herald of earth, or herald of the earth. That page of pentacles. For me, it was almost like in the keeper the hood was on, but in the herald of the earth the hood was off. And also the question of the eclipse. When I was literally like, is this an eclipse or a moon? Well, it looks craterous, so it should be the moon, right? Hold up. The void eating itself and making itself anew. That which should no longer exist is unmade by Hasmed's hands. There is something that needs to be removed. Look upon that which should not be and loose it from existence. I'm gonna flip another coin. H if yes, T if no. I say H and T because if I say the actual words, Siri was really good at telling me what I wanted to hear when I said the words out loud, and also when I didn't. H if yes, T if no. Hey Google, flip a coin. Tails again. Everything. Oh, see, look, now you can see like the three staffs with the ribbon around them, and the orb on top of the staff was giving me the journeyman. Every time it's been tails, so it's no. Okay, I didn't think so. Take it as it resonates if it resonates, and if it doesn't resonate, don't take it. But also, when you take something as it resonates, allow it to unfold for you how it unfolds for you. Right. So, if upon viewing something, you have this internal conversation, or you get a download, or you communicate with your spirit team, or with the divine, or whatever, sometimes it's like a line, sometimes it's a conversation starter. Especially I found. Sometimes for me, it's more about the conversations that something might start and less about like the actual information that came through, depending. Because I was like, but then I was like, but then I was like, yes or no? And it was like, no. I was like, okay. What is for me is not necessarily for thee. And even if it is, um, we all have the divine right to arrive at our own conclusions in our own time. A fleeting spirit who dances across the sky, beautiful but aloof. Stars fill the tresses of Leliel's hair. The night passes, whether lost to quiet murmurs of sleep or staring out at a darkened expanse of sky. For everything you see, there are 1,000 things unseen. You witness the glimmer, the gleaming of what is truly there. That's interesting. Again, coming off of a limited window of observation or a limited perspective, for everything you see, there are 1,000 things unseen. Lelio passes from star to star, filling the night with light. One would think the darkness, Lelio's realm. However, it is starlight that heralds night's arrival. Star bright, stars light, dance on and on across this night. What lullabies await us? What glittering night charms will Leliel hang upon the sky for all to see, for all to dream? Signs are wind, shearcloth, and the moon. Zacriel, angel of memory. Oh my gosh. I put my finger back too far. This is Hasmed again. Oh no, it's on the other side. Okay. Zacriel, angel of memory. Eternally lost, Zacriel carelessly winds. One of the signs was wind. There is, what are they? Homonyms, same name. Wind and wind. Homophones. Phone phonetic is sound. So homophone should have the same sound. Homonyms should have the same name, right? That's how I'm remembering it now. Two or more words that have the same spelling or pronunciation but different meanings and origins. Yeah, we're going to have to go ahead and do it. Same pronunciation as another word but has a different meaning as a homonym. Homophone is specifically a homonym where the words share the same pronunciation but differ in meaning. Okay. I didn't know one was classified as the other. Because when I read homophone, it said or, and I was like, okay. Any word that has the same sound or spelling and or spelling. Girl, get out of here. So yeah, that's a homonym. Wind and wind. Anyway, sorry. Eternally lost, Zacriel carelessly winds and unwinds the threads of thought. Memory has no worries or concerns. You are safe to wrap yourself in the bands of time gone by as well. It is warm and safe within the fog of Zacriel. All you knew greets you, welcomes you, longs for you. The power of remembrance is balanced by the power of forgetfulness. Pouring memory into the cup of forgetfulness makes room for new memory. Zacriel is the angel of all memory, even memory lost. If you take something with you, you must also leave something behind. Signs are a knot, a loom, and a maze. a maze, not like a maze. Cool. I feel like that's it. I say that, but then what new curiosity will bring me back tomorrow or the day after? Or the day after, or the day after, or the day after, or the day after. Today I was just like, what about the angel? Like, we looked for the dragons, but like, didn't pull the angels. What's up with that? I'm just like, now I'm just like, is that true? Is physical reality really that flimsy? I feel like there's an impression that like physical reality is only as flimsy, or the balance is only so like sensitive because of the veil. But who am I? But some dude living with his parents, pulling paper and ink and maybe some percentage of plastic, making inferences and whatever goes on up in here and whatever comes out of here. All right, final card. I want a clean flip or a clean fall, please. And this is the Angelarium year 2. I never did get year 1. Chazakiel, Angel of Mists, the one caught in the veil. This place that is somewhere in the middle. Where can I go if I am denied flight? How can I stay if I am denied presence? These questions fill the night air, crowding my wings and obscuring the light. But I know I am not the fog, but I also know that I am. Angel of the Deep is at the cut, Rahab. Maybe. Look how close does it have to be? Hello? There you go. Kinda. The bottom is Sariel, Angel of the Waning Moon. Whoa. It's interesting we see the Angel of the Waning Moon in daytime. You can see it up there. Is that the waning moon or is it an eclipse? Well, it's the angel of the waning moon, so. My body wanes and is distorted. Smoke moves all around me, troublesome clouds. And it's as if I cease to exist. I blink in and out of time and wonder if I can still be seen when the light of seeing is denied even to me. Do you still whisper at dusk or cry out for me at midnight? Do you still reach to pull yourself up into my light? Or do you ebb as I. An interesting, I want to say like, not foil or companion, but the angel of mists and the angel of the waning moon. My body wanes and is distorted, smoke moves all around me, and it's as if I cease to exist. These questions fill the night air, crowding my wings and obscuring the light, but I know I am not the fog, but I also know that I am. Interesting, he said, as he put the cards on the table. Psych. I can't even narrate my own life. I'm kidding. Okay. Last but not least, we have Angelarium Oracle of the Fallen. Excuse me. Kakabia. Oh no, it's the Prophet with the Ascendant. Kacabiel, Angel of Stars. We have the Prophet with when we had the Ebony Shield, our warrior queen, prophetess. All right, final card, please. A clean flip or a clean fall. 3 card maximum. That almost felt like it flipped, but I know it didn't. Oh, there we go. That one did flip. Oh my gosh. It's the Angel of the Eclipse. Samshio. Bottom of the deck is Sariel. Bottom of the deck is Sariel, Angel of the Waning Moon. Again, in the daytime. It may actually be the same art. I already put the deck away. I think it's the same art. It's just like zoomed in a little. Is it the waning moon? Or is it the eclipse? That's literally been the most recent question. Samshiel. Open to Kakabiel of the Stars. Should be in the 60s. Should have been in the 60s. I guess not. Whoa, number 35. Okay. When Samshiel taught the cultivation of plants, gone were the days of a nomadic life. The gift rooted people to their land and gave them power. He taught them to watch the sun, to take nourishment from it and make it their own. When the warm months brought work in the fields, Samshiel led the effort. It was easy to spot him out there because his great stature loomed above the other workers, beaming down at them. The time of harvest was always his favorite. He would sing as he swung a huge scythe through the field, flattening the landscape. He swayed and cut through the day, working until the sun dimmed over the horizon. The year the rains left, the fields caught fire. With their loss, something left him. He would stand in the scorched remains, looking out over the darkened expanse. He was like a shadow without a body to cast it. Domains are volatility, harvest, and omens. Something powerful. Oh gosh, what was that? Whoa, something powerful is set to disappear soon. The light will still be there, but you won't have access to it for a time. Keeping the faith when the world is cold can be hard, but it's a worthy cause. Trapped in the moment of an eclipse can feel like a place apart from the rest of reality, but it's an illusion. What's really interesting is something powerful is set to disappear soon. When Hasmed, the Angel of Annihilation, was like something that no longer needs to exist will be unmade. Interesting. What's that about? Cool. I hope you all have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path journey, what you find. I am gonna like wrestle this. It's easier if I just take the cards out and pull. There we go. And yeah, this is whatever this has been. I almost want to pull one more thing. I almost grab the energy oracle cards. There are angels in the energy oracle cards. I don't necessarily see this being helpful. I heard truth, Lenormand. On the back it says, when you look in the mirror in the morning, you see your outer appearance. Now you can use your inner mirror to recognize invisible and hidden truths to bring them to light. If you want to read for yourself. Interesting. I just need something like a cherry on top, you know? Something to give a satisfying, I want to say end. I guess Tails did come out. Just like Tails literally came out every time. I want 3 cards. There's the first one. The first one is Lily. Lily was one of the final cards we saw from the Gilded Reverie, the Norman. And it was also a card the last time I used this deck. Oh, that was so weird. I'm shuffling like really low. And it felt like a card like slid out face down because I'm looking at the card backs. And it felt like a card slid out, but like there's nothing there. Is that part of those invisible? All right, one more then. The tree. The second card is invisible. That's how I'm going to interpret that. What did it say? Now you can use your inner mirror to recognize invisible and hidden truths to bring them to the light. That using your inner mirror to recognize invisible hidden truths and bring them to the light, it gives me the mirror in the corruptor that had the axe of Shiva in it. The tower is at the bottom. The lily, the blank, and the tree. I still want to master the art of Lenormand. Kinda. Most days. Some days. On days like today. In times like now. I wish I could read these combinations. Um, just curious. Here we go. Another meaning of the card to another meaning of the card is to recognize the power, especially your own power. In this context, the word power has no negative aspect. It stands for the power over one's own life, to realize it and to regain this power. In other words, taking responsibility for one's own life back into one's own hands and not blaming others for one's own circumstances. This card calls for independent action to improve your situation again. The top of it, I was like, this ain't it. But the bottom, that was it. The tree. What are you going to do with the remaining time of your life? Imagine you have a lifespan of 2,000 years. What would you definitely change in your life? And why not now? What is still important for you to experience and to learn, and which you dare not do? What is still important for you to experience and to learn, and which you dare not do? Take responsibility for one's own life back into one's own hands and not blame others for one's own circumstances. Power over one's own life. Interesting. There was that invisible card. I think that invisible for a reason. And that reason being it's something almost like with the Three of Swords and the Archangel of Healing, and how sometimes it's important to know how or why something broke. But it almost feels more like an avoidance than anything else. Oh, I can't. I tried to put the book in first, but with how the box is designed, it's wider at the top. Um, and maybe that's a key to this whole. It's power. It's doing the thing that they dare not do. Taking back one's own power, doing the thing we dare not do, and defying circumstance. It feels like, so going back to the whole burden in reverse and divinity pressing down on reality rather than reality pressing down on an individual. And so an individual comes into their own divinity to press down on reality, to take back that power and to use intentional action or whatever the lily said to change one's own life. And how different that is to using a knowledge of physical reality and the nature of physical reality to make a change, right? And so it's like metaphorically, there's a difference between tapping into one's divinity and changing something versus using the laws of manifestation or whatever to manifest something. One transcends the rules, one takes advantage of knowing them. And that is an actual difference. Not necessarily for us, because either way it's like something like things would change, but it's an actual difference in terms of uh maybe capability, right? Like again, it's like there's a difference between, I don't know, it's just different. There's a difference between like if you're like playing a game or something, right? I don't know how universal this metaphor will be, but it's like if you're playing a game and you're taking advantage of glitches in cheat codes to do something in the game versus like truly reprogramming the game to allow you to do something, right? One takes advantage of the limitations of the running of the software. The other one like truly reprograms it. And it feels like The danger comes when we use cheat codes and glitches, but we think we're like reprogramming the game or whatever. And it only feels like it does because of what it does to the ego and because of what one would do under the effects of whatever change to the ego. Right. I guess if we go back to ether drift, it's like the guy V who had it in his contract that he always have at least one camera on him at any time so that he would be powerful enough to mount the glider versus the dynamite diver who could just operate the glider. Right. If that made sense. Cool. All right. Yeah. I feel like there's so much I want to like. Part of me like wants to dig deeper or try to pull more because now I'm getting like not necessarily because there are certain things that I'm like picking up on questions that like I'd like to just like be like, what about this? What would the card say to that? But that doesn't necessarily feel like it's for me to do live. Because again, part of this is that we arrive at our own conclusions. And even in doing like the deck dungeon challenge the day before yesterday or the live before the most recent one, where it was like the point is that we integrate. The point isn't that we abandon whatever. Like, even that was bordering on a realization that we should have to make for ourselves, or a realization that we should have reached within ourselves. Because it feels like what that does when we try to shortcut or circumvent the process is it's almost like we reach the conclusion before we've gathered the evidence to build a knowledge that will evolve into an understanding. If we naturally go through that process, we would know why we're choosing to integrate rather than to abandon one for the other. And in the process of arriving at that conclusion, we would discover the things within ourselves that are important. So we would know basically what to keep when we integrate and what we can let go. When it comes to the annihilation of Hasmed, we would know those things that are still important that need not be unmade in whatever the process is and what is truly erroneous. And when we get that realization artificially or when it's told to us, then there's the risk or the danger that in that moment we will make a quick assessment. We'll go, oh, these are the things that should be annihilated when I integrate whatever else. And it's very likely or very possible that some of those things are very like key to who we are very close to the core of our being. But we were so quick to do whatever because we already have the answer that we don't go through the natural process of discovering that, and then we lose something vital. And so then it's like the whole process goes wonky, and the angel of the waning moon that's all like distorted and shrouded, and who doesn't even know if they exist. It's because those, like, metaphorically, it's because those necessary parts were discarded. But like, obviously, I could not say it. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess I could have, but it's also like been so prominent at that point. It feels like it wasn't a real like spoiler. What? My phone has never made that noise. Duolingo is doing too much. Duolingo was doing way too much. I'm like, what the freak was that? My phone has never made that noise before. Whew. Duo is an owl. There was an owl on Sariel, Angel of the Waning Moon. So that that is absolute. It cannot be destroyed. But it's like in the metaphor to Sariel, Angel of the Waning Moon. The body of Sariel of the Waning Moon was shrouded and she didn't know if she existed or not. But the owl almost symbolizes what is true of Sariel that was discarded in whatever integration. And so the hooting of the Duolingo owl on my phone is like, there are certain things like truths that cannot be destroyed, but they can be almost mangled to the point of um, unrecognizability. Going back to the bereaved with Isis, it's like what Set did to Osiris. You could say Osiris is the owl that is the truth that cannot be destroyed, but his body was like dismembered and distributed all over the world. So, like, Isis brought him back because he couldn't be destroyed. But before she did that, he was so thoroughly dismembered and distributed that he wasn't like functional at all or even recognizable as who he was. But yeah, with like the yin yang and action and everything else, it was like obviously, like I've been saying it since before, that like we reach a point where we integrate the divine and the and human. Uh, but again, and it feels like part of the whole with the gas guzzlers and why devil energy could allow us truth or guide us to truth. It's because like devil energy isn't threatened by us discovering the truth when our own perception and ego and whatever would keep us from discerning or intuiting properly what is true. And so it's just like with all the information that's out, instead of taking things piecewise, we ingest wholes, right? So if there is a 100-word essay and 75% of the words are true and 25% are a lie, sometimes we see so much truth or we see enough truth to just take the whole thing as true. It's like we use our discernment enough to evaluate whether enough of this resonates or enough of this is true, and we just take wholesale everything rather than parsing through it and like discerning for ourselves which is applicably true and which is not. And then we go through whatever we go through as we learn, whatever was whatever or whatever. Either way, we eventually end up at our truth, I guess. And like the scale of divine time is way different than human time. Right. So if we're lost for decades, or if you believe in multiple incarnations, we can have like 10 incarnations where like we're just like doing whatever. But by the end of our lifetime in this incarnation, or by 50 incarnations, if we finally get it, then like, hey, it was worth it. you know? Anyway, I guess that's why. And then I feel like, too, I don't know. I could blame my North Node in Sagittarius. And I did last time, I'm pretty sure. Um, yeah, the point of any of this isn't necessary. It's to get us to maybe think, or to re examine our own beliefs. If something is true, it will always hold up as true. It doesn't matter how many times it is scrutinized or tested or whatever. Not that we necessarily have to go around doubting that which we know to be true truly, but again, it will always pass if it's true. Some things may be situationally true, some things may have been true, like environmentally true. In an environment where this is the case, then that's true. In this specific situation or circumstance or instance, it's true. And things that are more universally true. Things that are true in more environments and more situations, more generally true. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like not that I've necessarily been coming for people, because that's never the case, or that's never necessarily the intention, because different things are true for different people, and different people are on different paths and different journeys. Someone can make medicine out of what someone else may use to poison. And sometimes we have good intentions, but we don't have a wisdom or an intellect or a discernment to match or meet those intentions. Meaning, we may unintentionally cause harm where we don't intend to. Anyway, again, I hope you'll have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. And I hope that whatever you need along your path journey, will you find in ways that are truly meaningful and impactful, and that put you in the position that you want to be in. Right. I think some people are like fresh start people, and some people are like get back on the horse people, and there are a multitude of folks in between. Right.